Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mackenzie Davis. I'm a Maryland real estate agent, but I'm also a college student. I go to Virginia Tech and I study psychology. Today's video is something I think you guys are really going to enjoy and benefit from. I'm pulling questions that you guys have asked me. I think that you guys have so many great questions that I probably had at one point during my real estate journey as well. You're having that question, I'm sure someone else does. First question I got from Valerie, and she said, I'm 17-year-old, about to be a high school senior. She wants to take the course now, but she's wondering if she could when she was 17 and then just sign with a broker when she's 18. No, pretty sure that you have to verify like your identity before you begin the course, and that being said, they would know that you're 17. Just wait until you turn 18, and in the meantime maybe intern for a broker or do something like that that's gonna help you understand the business better. Someone asked if these steps work in Canada. I wish I knew the answer to that question. I know that in the United States the process is relatively similar, just the requirements for each state vary, so like some classes are longer or shorter. I would definitely reach out to a broker and ask, or just look it up and see what kind of the steps are for you. Emily said, hey girl, what are you majoring in college? I'm about to be a sophomore, but I no longer know what I want. I'm a psychology major. I feel like that's so random to a lot of people because like psychology and real estate don't really connect. Psychology's always been my career goal. I still want to be a therapist. I still want to go to grad school for it. Real estate's more flexible and something you can do on the side if needed. It's really great as a college student to have that source of income because it's a lot more money than any minimum wage job I've ever worked. My biggest real estate question, she says, what if you get stuck with an awful rundown property that no one will want to buy? So most contracts have an expiration date. You set the expiration for 6 months from the date that you list the property and no one buys it. It can either expire, which you would see in the MLS, it would say EXP, or you could renew it and continue working with the person if you wanted to pursue that further. Also, you have the right to stop working with someone if you so choose. You just have to give like 3 days notice, 3 days written notice. That's part of your rights as an agent. You have the same right to do that with you as well. Sorry, you can see my cat's tail. I post about wholesaling and someone asked, how do you find cash buyers? In order to find a cash buyer for wholesaling, you have to do a lot of like cold calling and marketing for yourself. Cold calling distressed homes through your neighborhood, and you see a house that's kind of like beat up and looks like they might want to sell, and then further to call them and ask them. And from what I've heard, that takes the longest time out of the whole process. Someone else asked a question on my wholesaling video asking if you create the contracts or if you get them somewhere else. Typically your county or state is going to have a contract. Maryland has a Maryland Forms website for the clause that like says you can give that transaction to the buyer, and that's how you're like the middleman. You would kind of need to work with someone who's more experience with the law. So someone said, do you have any studying tips, and what was the hardest concept lesson for you to learn, and how do you recommend studying for the big test? As far as I studied, for me what worked was doing flashcards and going through the CE shop, which is where I took my class, going through their practice exams. Any question I got wrong, I would write a card for. The hardest part for me was all of the terms and vocabulary that was so similar, yet just a tiny bit different, and they need you to know that information. There's a ton of different kinds of like liens and contingencies and loans. For some reason, it just was getting really confusing for me. It makes more sense as you get into the actual world of real estate. Without visualizing it, it's hard for me to cling to something. Also for studying, like be persistent. As long as you sit down and do the work, like you'll do just fine. You can take it as many times as you need, so it's really not that big of a deal. What's the next step after getting your license? The very next step would be to affiliate with a broker. If you want to see more on that process, my first and past video last week goes through the entire process of getting your license. Is realestateu.com a credible site? It's cheap, which is kind of suspicious to me. I honestly don't know. I took my class with the CE shop and I loved them so much. I've been preaching how much I loved their class since I started on TikTok. Now I'm actually partnered with them, which is like insane. I have some content coming out next week for them, but in the meantime I have a referral link, so if you're looking to sign up for online courses like I took, you can use my link to get 35% off. As far as other websites, I don't know, and that's because I only took my class once, so I obviously don't have experience with the other websites. When do you need to affiliate with a broker? What should I be looking for in one, and what questions do you ask? You need to be affiliated with a broker to practice real estate. You don't have to affiliate by any certain date or anything. I found my broker before I took my exam so that as soon as I passed, I could be like up the door running. The questions that you need to ask are like what the commission split they offer, what fees they charge, what fees do they waive for you, what kind of continuing education do they offer, do they offer any continuing education, do they have mentors. All those things are really important because you need to make sure that you're going to get acclimated to the actual world of real estate, and you need to make sure you're going to be able to learn how to do that from people, and you're not just going to be thrown in the ocean with no freaking floaty, okay? How is the process between buying and a leasing client different, and what is the difference in how much you make? I do a lot more leases than I do buyers, and I personally like leasing just because it's a quicker process and you can get people in and out a lot faster because they don't have to deal with the financing aspect. That's really the big difference between buying and leasing. When you buy a house, you're getting all the rights to that house, and you're also financing a loan, a home mortgage. You have to figure out a lot more money and closing costs and stuff like that. So you're going to take at least 30 days because you have to give the title company and the lender time to do all of that. You make about 2.5% of the listing price, whereas with a lease, you make about 50% of first month's rent. You have a rent of $2,000 and you're making 50%, so your check's going to be $1,000. You can show someone a house on a Monday, have them move in by Friday, and be paid by that following Monday. Whereas with a buyer, you have to, you know, do the contract, wait for the contract to get accepted, wait that 30 to 45 to 60 day period to close, and then you get paid at closing. How do you continue to do real estate while at school in Virginia, or do you just do it in the summer when you're back in Maryland? I go back to school, I'm in like student mode. I don't do any real estate besides being a referral agent for my mom. I've only ever had one client that I referred to her throughout my last school year. I had just gotten licensed in August, and then I went right back to school. I didn't have any chance to do any of the business side of things until I came home May, so like a month ago. And I think that it's totally possible. I just physically can't because I go to school 5 hours away in another state, and if I wanted to practice in Maryland, I would have to drive home all the time, and that's a big commitment when you were already taking a full course load of classes. I wanted to specially be a realtor, and you knew that before going to school, what pathway in college would you recommend going for? Well, this is something I struggle with understanding because you can get a degree in real estate. To me, I don't understand that when you can get licensed in 2 months like I did. You save so much money. You probably make a lot more money during that time period where you would have been at school. When you major, do it in like marketing or business or finance or something related to real estate. I think it'd be difficult for people who aren't really social and have a hard time talking to people. I have really bad social anxiety, also super extroverted. I think that my extroverted side comes out, and you know, like it works. It's just a lot to deal with. I get freaked out sometimes, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. You just have to commit and be fully dedicated to the communication because you have to constantly be talking to people. Like people will call me all day, people will text me all day. You have to do that. When you see them in person, you're going to be showing them houses. You're going to represent them as their agent. And so, you know, you need to be at least confident in yourself and able to have conversations with people. And I also think you'll get used to it as time goes on. Hey there, wanting some input. I work 7:30 to 4, 5 days a week. Do you think it would be doable to get licensed and do real estate on the side? Yeah, so my mom is a social worker for her full-time job. She works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and she's also a real estate agent, and she is killing it, but she is busy. I've seen her pretty stressed out because she has to either take off of work to go show houses or you know, rush right after work to go show houses. On the bright side, most people want to see homes during the evening or on the weekends, so it's perfect for a job where you're working the day, and that's just because your clients probably have jobs where they work during the day too. Can you do a day in the life? I have a day in the life uploaded on my TikTok, but I actually just finished this entire week from Monday to Thursday. I did vlogging so you guys could see a week in my life and see really kind of what the day-to-day looks like. So keep your eyes out for that one. It should be coming next week. Someone asked how I balance college with this, and if you're still paying your broker fee and everything when I'm still at school. Am I still doing real estate? So I kind of already answered this question, but I wanted to answer the financial aspect. So like, you can technically go inactive in real estate, but it's a lot harder to just jump back in and do it. It's not really worth it to do it that way. What I do is I continue to pay my $25 a month broker fee, also pay my membership fees throughout the year. I tried my hardest to wait as long as I possibly could to have to pay those fees. Some things you don't have to pay until you're using them. So for example, like dot loop, I still don't pay for that because they give you 10 loops free. It's where you keep all your documents and everything like that. And then the last question I have today is, I want to do this, but I live in New York and I don't know how successful it would be. New York City. So it's not necessarily a question, but I feel like I'd be inclined to say that there's a lot more leasing in New York City. That's the hardest part about doing this for you guys, is like, I don't have the experiences from state to state. I only know what Maryland is like. As much as I want to help you guys, I just don't know what the market is like in New York. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm having so much fun with this whole creating thing. I love answering questions. I love thinking of ideas to make. Cannot believe that I am partnered with the CE shop now. It's insane to me too. Don't forget, my link is down in the description for that. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Always feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you thought of this video. I'll see you guys next time.